use my torch, just turning it. I don't need the flame to be too high. And you'll see the difference. Getting much bigger pieces of wax. Videos if you guys would rather hear me talking, the scraping, or if you'd like for me to put a little bit of background music. So if you could just leave that in the comments, just let me know. Would you have rather had some music on here, or do you like it as is? I would really appreciate it because I do these videos for you guys and I really want you guys to enjoy them. So if you don't mind leaving a comment, it would be great. So I'm going to continue to do this until I've gotten most of those pinks, yellows, oranges taking off. I had done quite a few layers, so it might take a while, but I really don't mind. This is a very relaxing process for me, very calming. You gotta get off your tool at some point, otherwise it starts wanting to fuse back into the canvas. Not too much, because I don't necessarily want to go straight down to the board, because I did coat this with clear encaustic before I started putting color, so ideally if I can skip a step, that would be great. But we'll see together if this is possible. Probably not. Oh, I had done a transfer on that first layer as well. I forgot about that. That's why we're starting to see some black, which I also didn't like and decided to cover up with encaustic. So I think this painting was pretty much doomed from the start. Yeah, it happens. They're not all successes. But you don't want to waste that wax, because if you're already doing encaustics, you know how much this costs just in materials. I use pure beeswax. I don't use soy or paraffin, so it gets quite expensive once you calculate the wax and the resin, but it's worth it because you create artworks that are environmentally friendly and that are not toxic. So when I'm heating my canvas, I know that I'm not working with something that's going to make me sick. I had an aunt who was a photographer, and she used to develop her own photos in her, I don't know what you call it, a black room or something like that. And she was doing a special technique with silver, and she actually died when she was less than 40. She had some sort of cancer in her lymph nodes. I think the same cancer that Bob Ross had. So when you're working with all of these chemicals, it can really make you sick. And once you get those sort of cancers, you're pretty much done for. So I decided that I would be working with materials that cannot make me sick. That's why I like working with the inks, but I really do try to work with materials that are as safe as possible. Look at all that pretty wax. Almost looks like a flower. A peony, I think they're called. I'll put this aside. Haven't decided what I'm going to do as far as a painting goes this time. I think I'm going to put a little bit more heat. I'm working on an old table that I have been telling myself for years that I need to sand and revarnish. So that's why I don't mind getting my torch so close to it, and sometimes I touch the table. But if you're working on a good table, you really don't want to do this. You're going to have to put like some protective heat mats underneath. So there we go. I almost got it all now. If you haven't been working with encaustics for a long time, I recommend that you get at least 3-4 of these tools, because at some point from pressing on them, these metal things will rip out of the wooden handle. So when you're in the middle of a project, if you don't have a spare, it's kind of annoying, because then you have to, I don't know, order it on Amazon, wait a day or two, depending on where you're ordering it from. So I always keep up a couple of these handy. I have some small ones too that I use just to smooth out my canvas, little details. So we're going to start attacking this photo transfer.